I am going to give you a list of GLP-1 supplements to help you while you lose weight. We'll go through what you might need to boost your metabolism, why it helps you to lose weight, and the best formulations to take. Because with all supplements, there are little details that you may not know yet, and you don't want to waste your money on supplements that don't actually work. So I take all these supplements from time to time myself, depending on what my diet looks like at the time. It's not necessary to take the same supplements for years on end. Supplements are really to support health, not to correct a bad diet. Your diet should be the foundation of your good health, but supplements can help where you might be missing certain nutrients. So for all of these supplements, I've actually put them into a PDF, which you can go and download. I will put the link in the description. It comes with my GLP-1 success checklist, which is an ebook I made for GLP-1 users. If you decide to use any of my links, you will get a 15% off discount with the discount code. And please do remember to check with your pharmacist or your doctor before you start taking new supplements, because supplements do interact with each other and they do interact with medications. One of the most important interactions that comes to mind is vitamin B6. If you're chronically taking too much vitamin B6, you will cause permanent nerve damage. So be very careful of that. And I actually have a pinched nerve in my arm today, and I'm telling you, it is painful. So we do not want nerve damage. Let's talk about the first one, which is a really good quality daily multivitamin. If you take nothing else at all from this list, you need this one, especially if you're on a GLP-1. So the key word for this is multi. And the key thing about this multi is that it's methylated. And this is what separates a good multi from a cheap one that you're just going to pee out, right? Most standard multivitamins use synthetic B vitamins that your body has to convert before it can use them. And about 40% of people have a gene variation that impairs that conversion, which means they're taking a multi and absorbing almost nothing. So methylated means that the nutrients are already in their active form so that your body can use the vitamins and minerals. When we're taking a GLP-1, we need a good multi because we're eating less, we're absorbing less nutrients, and we're losing weight. All of these things can deplete our body of vitamins and minerals fairly quickly. The things I love about this formula is the B12 is in the form that our brain actually uses, and GLP-1 users are at high risk of B12 deficiency because the medication reduces stomach acid, and stomach acid is necessary to absorb B12. So that's something to take notice of if you're taking an antacid as well. This multi includes chromium, which supports insulin sensitivity and blood sugar regulation. It's literally working alongside your medication. One honest caveat here, the magnesium in this particular product is magnesium oxide. That is the least absorbable form. However, it's not a massive dose and it will actually help to relieve constipation for you because it's not going to be absorbed very well. So it's just going to sit in your gut and move your bowels. So if you're dealing with constipation, this could actually help with constipation. But if you want magnesium for sleep or muscle cramps or anything like that, we're going to talk about a different supplement for that later on. Apart from the magnesium though, this is a really clean formula with no fillers. So it's a good multi to take long-term. Next up, NAD. If you've watched my videos before, you know how much I love NAD+, and especially while we're losing weight. Our body's working really hard at a cellular level, burning off fat, regulating insulin, managing appetite signals, all the stuff. And all of that requires energy, and that energy is produced by NAD+. So if you're interested in NAD, I actually did a whole video where I explain how it works. So you can watch that later if you're interested. So the biggest problem with NAD is it naturally declines as we age. And when our body is under stress, and weight loss is one of those stresses, it depletes even faster. So less NAD means slower metabolism, which can then slow down your weight loss, but it also shows up with things like fatigue or brain fog. See, it may not just be the menopause or the medication. It might actually be that you need some NAD. So the liposomal part of this is very key for this product. we need to take a liposomal because you don't want it to be broken down in your digestive system before the NAD reaches your cells. Liposomal just means that the NAD will bypass digestion so that it can enter the cell, which is where it will be used. You'll actually absorb it, in other words. This formula also has resveratrol, CoQ10, and glutathione, all of which work with NAD to support your metabolism. Now, we've all heard me talk about the mitochondria, where all of these ingredients are working inside our mitochondria, our little power plants that keep everything going and speed up our metabolism. Therefore, it speeds up weight loss as well. Okay, so the magnesium in the NAD is actually in the glycinate form, which is much more absorbable. So, coming back to magnesium, let's cover that one next. Our body loses magnesium quite easily, and for most of us, we're already deficient before we even started the weight loss journey or the GLP-1. So some signs of magnesium deficiency include constipation, muscle cramps, poor sleep, anxiety, and fatigue. Also notice these are all side effects that we tend to blame on the GLP-1 medication as well. As you can see, this magnesium has many different forms. But here's the thing, a lot of people are really confused about all these forms and what they actually do. So I'm going to explain it to you in a really easy way to understand. Magnesium is magnesium. It cannot be destroyed. Once it's absorbed, the magnesium itself does the same job regardless of which form it comes from, right? So whether it's glycinate or oxide, it doesn't really matter because once we absorb it, it's magnesium. So that includes things like nerve function, muscle relaxation, sleep, energy production. The body directs magnesium to where it's needed. And because magnesium isn't a vitamin, it's a mineral, it cannot be destroyed. Like I said, vitamins can be broken down and destroyed. Minerals cannot. The only barrier really is the absorption from our gut. So this is where the different forms of magnesium come in. For example, glycinate bonds magnesium to glycine, which is an amino acid, which is very gentle on the stomach. It's highly absorbable and has minimal laxative effects. So if you've been taking that type of magnesium hoping that it would help your bowels move, it's probably not going to. It's good for people that are sensitive with their digestion. But you can see if you're taking this form of magnesium for constipation and wondering why it isn't working, there's your answer. Citrate, on the other hand, draws water into the intestines as part of its absorption process. That's why it does help with constipation. It's a side effect of how it's absorbed, not a special property of the magnesium itself. Malate, which is another carrier, bonds to malic acid. Also really well absorbed, easy on the stomach as well. Magnesium oxide is poorly absorbed, as we said before. Most of it passes through unabsorbed. The laxative effect is actually because it's not being absorbed very well. So the reason the 12-in-1 complex matters isn't that different forms of magnesium do different jobs, because magnesium is magnesium and the only difference is the carrier that it's connected to, right? The different forms have different absorption rates and different digestive effects. Your body gets more usable magnesium overall because the blend compensates for the weaknesses of any single form. So when we're talking about metabolism, you can't go past CoQ10. CoQ10 is known for many things, for example, heart health. But what most people don't know is it's actually an integral part of our metabolic rate. So while we're breaking down fat stores and rebuilding cells, CoQ10, like NAD, works directly in our metabolism, just in a different place in our metabolism. It's still located in our mitochondria, but it's at the very end of metabolism where we actually build the final energy molecule, and that molecule is called ATP. The problem is CoQ10 declines naturally as we age, and when our body's under stress, so for example, if we're losing weight, that is a type of stress, we burn through more CoQ10 faster. Low CoQ10 feels like fatigue or heart palpitations or brain fog. So CoQ10 is fat soluble, meaning your body can't absorb it without fat present. Most CoQ10 capsules pass through largely unabsorbed unless you take them with a fatty meal. So the MCT oil in this particular supplement solves that problem by delivering the fat as it's needed for absorption right inside the capsule. And because of that, you don't need to think about timing it with food. You can just take it. You'll still absorb it. 400 milligrams is also a really decent dose, although they do have other products with lower doses as well. And most people take between 150 and 300 milligrams a day of CoQ10. I take about 450 because the capsules I have are in 150 milligram caps. So I take 3 of those a day. But most cheap CoQ10 supplements sit at around 100 milligrams. And CoQ10 is one of the more expensive supplements out there. But I tell you what, it is well worth it because it does so much, and including revving up your metabolism. Higher doses are where you actually feel the difference. So take it with food if you can, just so that you can increase your absorption. Okay, so the next one is collagen. I think everyone who's watched my videos has heard me talk about collagen a million times. And this product will address 2 things at once. First, I use collagen to prop up my protein intake, right? Because it's really hard if you're not hungry to get enough protein. So that's something that many of us face. So I take quite large amounts of collagen for that reason. And second, I use it alongside red light therapy to reduce loose skin. And I really hope it's working. I did a video on loose skin if you want to watch that after this one. So not all collagen formulations are created equal. This one has 5 types of collagen, which is the important part of the product. Most collagen powders only contain type 1 and type 3, which both come from bovine sources. This formula includes type 1, 2, 3, 4, and 10 from 4 different sources. So it has bovine, fish, chicken bone broth to be exact, and eggshell membrane. Now, I know that sounds disgusting, but eggshells are actually really good for us. And actually, I feed them to my dogs so that they're getting all the minerals from eggshells. And each type of collagen that is in this product supports different tissues. So, for example, type 2 specifically targets joint cartilage, which is really important for joints staying strong and flexible, right? Types 1 and 3 and 5 can help heal a leaky gut because it helps to rebuild the gut lining. Very important if you've got inflammation and you're trying to lose weight. You can't have a leaky gut without also having inflammation. It's just a part of the immune system, unfortunately. I love that this formula also has vitamin C because vitamin C is required for your body to actually use collagen. It also contains biotin for hair, skin, and nails, and a tiny bit of hyaluronic acid, which is great for skin as well. And finally, it's 10 grams of protein per serve. And honestly, I would easily take double that. I've been known to take 25 grams of collagen a day just to pep up my protein intake. And it's unflavored, which is important because if you're doing what I'm doing and you drink it throughout the day with water and a little bit of sugar-free something to make it taste nice, then the unflavored is really important so that you can swap around your flavors as you go. So while we're speaking of gut health, let's cover off probiotics to support a healthy digestion. I actually hate that term because I've heard it so often. I feel like people are deaf to the term healthy digestion. Like, what exactly does that mean, right? Well, let's cover that. It means if you have constipation, bloating, nausea, or reflux, and a myriad of other things, it may not just be the GLP-1 side effects. These are all signs that your gut bacteria are out of balance and disrupted. Let me tell you why I love this formula. Whoever put this together has really thought this through. So it has 200 billion CFU, which stands for colony-forming units. In other words, those bacteria that you're taking in the capsule are going to set up home in your gut and make babies and live happily ever after. And that's exactly what we want them to do. We want them to form colonies, right, and grow. And most importantly, it has 40 strains, which is a serious broad-spectrum probiotic. Remember in my other videos how I explained that diversity is the key to a healthy gut, right? Diversity just means lots of different types of bacteria. And this matters because different bacteria colonize in different parts of the gut, and they also do different things for our health. Actually, the sickest people that have been studied are the ones that have a very narrow microbiome. In other words, not many strains in their gut. And the healthiest people who don't have gut issues and they have a fantastic immune system and all the rest actually have a very wide variety of different strains in their gut. So that's why it's so important. Your microbiome can affect things like not only your weight and brain fog and stuff like that, it affects inflammation throughout your body. If your gut's not healthy, you're going to get a lot of degenerative illnesses. So heart disease is related. They're now saying that dementia and those types of chronic illnesses are related. Diabetes is related to poor gut health. Like, it all sort of interrelates. Like, the sore joints are related to poor gut health. So it is really, really important that you look after your gut health. So a single strain supplement is not the best approach because you don't want to flood your gut with only one type of bacteria. You always want diversity. And if you are being sold single strain probiotics or probiotics that just have a couple of strains in them, go and look at all the research that's been done that is unbiased. We're talking research that has been done by somebody not selling anything. That's unbiased research. Research that's been done by universities that are publicly funded, right? They're unbiased. Go and look at those research studies and you will find that always the best way is to have diversity, not a narrow one strain or two strain probiotic. Okay, so this is a 4-layer formula which covers everything we need. So it has bacteria probiotics that are live that can repopulate our gut. It has postbiotics, which are the byproducts of bacteria. So that's things like, how we sweat, that's a byproduct of us and our metabolism. With bacteria, their byproducts are things like butyrate, which is a short-chain fatty acid. And those things are really healthy for us. We absorb those and they help to keep us healthy in so many different ways. The other thing that the bacteria will do for us is reduce leaky gut by helping to heal our gut wall, which is really important. So this formula also contains prebiotics. And remember, that's a fancy word for fiber. And fiber is the food that our bacteria live on. So if we want them to set up home and have babies and make colonies, we need to feed them so they stay, right? It also contains digestive enzymes, which include amylase, bromelain, which isn't actually a digestive enzyme, but it does help with digestion, lipase, papain, and protease. The ones ending in ase are actually digestive enzymes, and these help to break down food more efficiently so that we can absorb more nutrients. For GLP-1 users dealing with nausea and slow digestion, this is genuinely useful. The key nuance here is Saccharomyces boulardii, which is actually not a bacteria. It is a type of yeast, but it's the most well-researched strain of yeast, and people usually use it specifically for antibiotic-related gut disruption and also for things like traveler's diarrhea. And it also has Bacillus coagulans, which are soil-borne probiotics. They are a bacteria, but they are very, very hardy and they're so beneficial for the gut. They really do help gut healing, and they're the ones, apparently, according to research, that are most likely to colonize. They're my absolute favorite of all the probiotic strains. They can survive almost anything because they're soil spore forming. So this is a fantastic formula if you need a good probiotic. If you want to learn more about gut health, you can watch this video next where I explain how poor gut health can sabotage our weight loss. And there's lots of other information in there as well. So now, because we don't want to break down muscle whilst we lose weight, because losing muscle will kill our metabolism and cause rebound weight gain, right? And creatine is one of the most well-researched supplements in existence for preserving and building lean muscle. I actually did a video on creatine not very long ago, so you can watch that later as well if you like. I really like this formula because it's 5 grams of micronized creatine monohydrate, which is exactly the type that you want. Micronized just means it's smaller particles for better absorption. That's basically it. And it's easier on the stomach because of that. This is the gold standard for creatine. This is why I love this formula, because it will actually help 2 things and it might save you some money as well. So listen up. Because it also has 4 grams of electrolytes, including 615 milligrams of potassium. So you're getting your creatine and your potassium in one product. Creatine draws water into the muscles, so the muscle cells, which will also pull in the electrolytes with it. And it also has 2 grams of collagen with all the types of collagen that we spoke about just a little while ago. So it has 1, 2, 3, 5, and 10. Which is great for supporting joints, gut health, skin, and everything simultaneously. It is also, very important, sugar-free, and it is actually sweetened with stevia and allulose, and it is a lemon and raspberry flavor, which is actually enjoyable to drink with just water alone. So check out my video on creatine before you go and buy this one. This is a much better product than I had in the other video. But it would be good for you to learn how it works and to get all the ins and outs that you need to know before you go spend your money. Now, let's shift gears and look at our immune system. So this immune system supplement is an excellent formulation. It has a high dose of zinc, vitamin C, and quercetin. The 4 forms of zinc is the standout feature in this product. Most zinc supplements use a single form, usually gluconate. So gluconate is the cheapest and least absorbable, and because it's so cheap, that's usually what goes into formulas. But this formula uses a variety of characters. I'll pop the label up here so you can see them. And remember, since zinc is a mineral, it can't be destroyed, just like magnesium or iron or any of the other minerals. But it does need to be absorbed to be used, just like magnesium does. So you can see that this formula has 50 milligrams of total zinc, and it has the forms that will carry it through for digestion. So zinc is critical for immune function, wound healing, taste and smell perception, and for hair health. So if you've noticed hair shedding while you've been losing weight, this may help you. And most importantly, just like CoQ10 and NAD, zinc also has a role in making our energy in the mitochondria. So it is a part of our metabolism. Our metabolism needs zinc to be a speedy metabolism. It can't do it without it. So quercetin is the ingredient that most people haven't heard of yet. And it's actually doing 2 jobs here. So first, it helps to transport zinc directly into the cells where it can do its work on the immune system and so forth. And second, quercetin is a powerful anti-inflammatory and antihistamine in its own right. Quercetin is actually one of my favorite ingredients in supplements. It's an anti-aging compound. So it really helps to support the immune system if you happen to be fighting off any colds and flus or illness, things like that. Vitamin C at 500 milligrams, which is not a massive dose, but it is a dose that is good enough for, everyday use. And so vitamin C works synergistically with both zinc absorption and acting as an antioxidant that protects our cells under metabolic stress. So we all know vitamin C is an antioxidant. It works very closely with vitamin E in the body and many other compounds as well. So the next one are a couple of different products, but they are bundled together because most people normally take them separately without realizing that they're actually designed to work as a team. When we take a GLP-1 and our fat-soluble vitamin absorption can drop because we're eating less. And if you live in a colder climate where you may not see much sunshine, or you work in an office building away from the sunshine, this is really, really important. Let's start with why D3 and K2 must always be taken together. When we take a GLP-1, we're at the risk of losing lean mass, right? Which includes our bone density. Lean mass simply means anything that is not fat. So it includes muscle mass, collagen, bone density, all that sort of stuff. But we really, really don't want to lose our bone density. So vitamin D is needed for calcium absorption, which in turn protects our bones. Vitamin D is one of the 4 fat-soluble vitamins, which means we store it. You've probably heard some people say they think of vitamin D as a hormone rather than a vitamin. That's because it affects so many pathways within the human body. It's a very important nutrient to get enough of because the symptoms can be so vague of vitamin D deficiency that it's really hard to get a differential diagnosis. So this product has vitamin D3 at 5,000 IU, which is a relatively high dose, but that's okay because when it comes to vitamin D, you need to take an enormous amount of it over a long period of time in order to get sick. So here's the issue that nobody talks about. Vitamin D3 without K2 can actually cause calcium to deposit in the arteries and soft tissues instead of the bones, which we do not want. K2 is the traffic director, if you like. It basically activates the proteins that send calcium specifically to the bones and the teeth, which is where we want them, and away from the arteries. So here's the thing. This is what you need to understand. If calcium is lodging in our arteries, we're basically developing heart disease. Now, the omega-3 connection at 1,200 milligrams of EPA and 900 milligrams of DHA, this is a therapeutic dose, not a maintenance dose. EPA is the anti-inflammatory part of our omega-3s. DHA supports brain function and mood. So it can help with things like brain fog and mood swings if you happen to be experiencing those. could just be an omega-3 deficiency, which wouldn't be surprising because a lot of people have it. So a little known fact is omega-3s actually help with fat metabolism. That makes them very important whilst we are trying to lose weight. So here's how they work together. Omega-3 creates the anti-inflammatory environment that allows D3 to function more effectively at the cellular level. So D3 supports the immune and hormonal systems that omega-3 is protecting. I hope that makes sense. And since omega-3 is itself a fat, taking both together means your absorption will be much better because remember, vitamin D is a fat-soluble vitamin. Now, if you're like me and you don't like fish, you'll certainly don't want to take fish oils that have that disgusting repeat thing going on. It's the foulest thing you can ever experience. So this product has been made to be burpless omega-3s, and they've also put some flavor in there. So just in case your body decides to burp it up, you're not going to taste the fish. And the reason that they can do this is they do something which is actually quite common in the supplement industry and even the medication industry, or the pharmaceutical industry, I should say. They put an enteric coating on it. So an enteric coating just means that your stomach acid won't break it down. It's not broken down until it gets to your digestive enzymes, which are in your small intestine, basically. Okay, that wraps up our supplements for today. I do hope that this was helpful. I will pop all the videos I mentioned during this video in the description for you. So if you want to check out the other supplements, you are welcome to do that. And I have included the download with all of them listed and information about them with pricing and all that sort of stuff in my free GLP-1 success checklist. So if you don't already have that, go and get it. If you do already have that, doesn't matter. You can subscribe again because we won't double up on your email. Okay, I will see you in one of the other videos. Bye.
Smarter Nut Nutrition.